comfortable trying to slide your fingers towards the front and seeing if there's anything down inside. Right now, it looks to be very characteristic of what we would expect for a migrant.
Until very recently, in some South Texas counties, bodies were being found. Most of the deaths occur here in Brooks County. Unidentified human remains, they're supposed to have an investigation and a DNA sample is taken so that that person has the potential to be identified. But these laws just weren't being followed.
In 1994, President Clinton shut down the safe crossing areas along the border.
We initiated Operation Hold the Line at El Paso, Operation Gatekeeper in San Diego, and Operation Safeguard in Arizona, all with one clear intention: to secure the southwest border.
They knew there was going to be a high mortality, but there was no resources to these states and these counties that dealt with this high death toll.
The last thing my brother told him was, we're in the middle of the sun, it's hot, I can't walk anymore.
You know, these are people who have died and they have been buried, but nobody has tracked that. Human rights of the dead is often overlooked, and we want to help find them and send them back to their families. Whatever the system is, it has failed these individuals.
This looks like a male, and probably somewhere between maybe late 20s, mid 30s. Don't have any arthritis or degenerative changes on their skeleton, so a younger individual. My name is Kate Spradley, and I am an anthropology professor at Texas State University. I direct a project that aims to locate, exhume, and identify and repatriate unidentified human remains found along or near the South Texas border. Most of the deaths occur here in Brooks County. And when people typically make it across the border, they are driven by car up to Falfurrias and told to get out of the car, and then they walk around the checkpoint and they're picked up on the other side. It is the U.S. Customs and Border Patrol checkpoints that they're trying to evade, and that's where the most deaths occur.
In 1994, President Clinton shut down the safe crossing areas along the border that migrants would usually take. It reinforced those areas and funneled people into more dangerous terrain. And they knew there was going to be a high mortality, but there was no resources or training or support to these states and these counties that dealt with this high death toll.
So another real challenge we have is that Texas is 96% private land. So there's going to be a lot of people that we never find. So this is the room where we keep all the unidentified human remains and the personal effects. So we have some denim jeans and a toothbrush and a luchador mask. A lot of people have religious iconography of the Catholic faith, prayer cards, things like that. That helps us assess that this is probably a migrant. Also, something like a toothbrush seems pretty simple, but you and I are not carrying a toothbrush on us right now. That's something that somebody who's traveling is carrying with them. But working with the skeletal remains, that's much easier to do. That's not personal. That is a job that we have to do. We can do it. But when you're dealing with the personal effects, it really gives insight into who that person was, what was going through their mind when they were traveling. So that is, I would say, the most personal part of this. The first body bag we ever opened, where we did an intake, the woman, she was about my age, and she had a backpack full of ramen noodles. She had probably like 20 bags of ramen noodles. She had 4 bags of chips. And I really identified with her because I always want to know where my next meal is coming from. She fully expected to make it. And she actually had an identification card underneath the insole of her shoe, but her name was Maria, and she was from Honduras. And her husband was sitting in the house one evening and was killed by a stray bullet because there was just so much violence around her house. So she had 3 children and a mother to take care of, and she, died coming over here to try to make money to bring her family over here so they could get away from the violence. Unidentified human remains, they're supposed to have an investigation and a DNA sample is taken so that person has the potential to be identified. Until very recently, in some South Texas counties, bodies were being found, sent to a funeral home, and then buried. And that doesn't follow the Texas law. So we go into these South Texas counties and we try to figure out where they were buried.
I am heading to Falfurrias, Texas, to conduct exhumations at the Sacred Heart Cemetery. Falfurrias is located in Brooks County, and the majority of migrant deaths in South Texas happen in Brooks County. Doing this kind of work, it really provides help to families that are in search of answers. And I think if I were in their position, I would appreciate it if somebody could give me answers. These are people who have died, and they've gone to a funeral home, and they have been buried, but nobody has tracked that. There's absolutely no paper trail. It's as if these individuals never existed. You talk to funeral homes and they say, well, we gave this person a burial. We gave them dignity. What more can we do? And what more can we do is follow the law and take DNA samples. That is really dignity. When you can give somebody the chance to be identified, when you can give a family a chance to know what happened. Burial alone, I don't think, is dignity. That whole area probably had about 45 people in it. One thing that they all have in common, except the area where we're working today, is that they're right on the road. They're in places where you wouldn't really want to buy a plot or where you would want to sell a plot because people are driving over it. Body bags are really characteristic of the migrants. You know, you have a body bag, put it in the ground, but whoever buried them left their lunch trash, and it had an expiration date on it. Was it 2005? Which at least gives us a general time frame for when that person was buried. We'll go back to Area 4. The hardest part about being at the cemetery is seeing the way that these unidentified individuals that are presumed migrants are treated. All of these other individuals with headstones, nobody put trash on top of their grave. It's not how you treat another human. There's no humanity in it. We can just go ahead and set up a unit and get to work so everybody can generate some muscle heat and be warm. All right, so now it's time to get to work. You can see where we dug last time, right? So I would just go like from here. So what's up with that?
We found it last time. Don't know what it is.
What are we looking at?
I don't know. So, I mean, it must have been intentionally, I don't know. We were excavating to make a work area so we could get into this pit. And in the process of making our work area, we've come down on what looks like 2 more potential migrant burials. Until 2012, Arizona always had the majority of migrant deaths, but in 2012 you have a surge of violence in El Salvador and Honduras and other countries, so you had many coming over into Texas. It's a shorter migration route. Texas has 254 counties and about 14 medical examiners' offices, and they typically only service their own counties. In Brooks County, historically, the county did not follow the law. So since 2013, Sheriff Martinez was instrumental in stepping forward and realizing that the county wasn't in compliance and that they wanted to do the right thing.
We're traveling northbound now on 281, and we're coming up to the United States Border Patrol checkpoint, one of the busiest checkpoints in the Southwest Corridor. I always refer to things in Washington as work in progress because they haven't reached a good, solid immigration reform package that can settle a lot of the issues. And that's the frustrating part about it because they keep coming. And without the correct policy, it's going to continue. We don't have the funding to sustain each and every body that comes that is recovered. I recovered a body myself. He had numbers on his body, so I plugged in the numbers and a female answered on the other end. I was actually speaking to the mother. The mother advised me that she had been looking for him. She was relieved that he was found, hurt and devastated because he was dead, but yet she was going to be able to recover the body and give him the proper burial that he needed. So that brings closure to her. The family needs closure, and that's what we do on this identifications process that's occurring here in Brooks County.
All right, we're gonna do the small one first.
Okay.
We're doing what we call a field intake. We're trying to see, quickly assess right here in the field what the situation is, what the status is of this individual. Right now, it looks to be very characteristic of what we would expect for a migrant. We've got an individual laid out in there. There's a black garbage bag on their chest. Looks to have personal effects in it. Typically, if you're burying a loved one, you don't put a bag of clothes on top of their chest. So that's probably what the individual was wearing when they were found. They were taken off to do an external exam. So this does seem to fit the profile of what we would expect. Are you comfortable trying to slide your fingers towards the front and seeing if there's anything down inside?
No.
Okay. This individual was likely found either shortly after they passed or in early stages of decomposition. Animals scavenging hadn't even occurred at the fingers and toes, which are usually some of the first things to go. So this individual was at least found complete. You have a tag, but unfortunately it looks like all the writing has faded off.
Yeah.
But no evidence of an autopsy,
Right.
cranial, thoracic, or otherwise. You mind just organizing this a little bit? Doesn't have to be perfect skeletal layout, but something that's a bit more dignified.
We found potentially 4 additional burials situated around these 2 burials that we came for. It can be really overwhelming when you're working and then somebody finds another burial, then another burial. You walk away to go to the bathroom for 5 minutes and then you come back and there's another burial. So it's a lot for us all to process. 13 individuals we found just in this area right here. I'm tired.
Everything we know about the unidentified person we exhume, we put into NamUs. NamUs stands for the National and Unidentified Missing Person System. The great thing about NamUs is that we can put these images in here for each case, and families can look through these images. And we've had several identifications that have been brought about because families were looking through these cases and they saw a t-shirt or some shoes that they remembered purchasing for their loved one, and that's really powerful.
We knew where my brother was last located at. We knew that he was in Brooks County. I just started Googling. He was 23 at the time. So I filtered it between the ages of 20 to 30, picking on so many bodies were found that month of September 2012. It was crazy. So I just clicked on one, looked through the items, read the description. Oh, doesn't sound like him. Next, keep going. I told myself, okay, I'm gonna just do one more before I go to sleep. When I saw the Nike shoes, I knew it was him. The last picture that we ever had of him, when sitting down at a bar, I think at a bus stop, waiting to go to a different town. He was wearing those exact same shoes. From what my dad said, the last time my brother told him was, he's like, "Dad, I can't do this. I'm tired. I can't walk anymore. I can't walk anymore." So my dad was like, "Are you sure? You ran 10 miles a day when you were younger?" My brother was like, "No, this is different. We're in the middle of the sun. It's hot. I can't do it." The 6 years they were a drag. Every day, just wake up, you know, like, okay, maybe today's the day. Maybe today we'll get some kind of answer, hoping for something. I never in a million years think that they found him, you know, helpless and dehydrated in the middle of the desert, you know, and then marked him in a grave, you know, as a John Doe for so long. I started thinking, like, how long was he buried there with nobody putting flowers for him, nobody decorating his grave? My brother, he was a goofy person, always was the center of attention, always wanted to make people laugh. He loved those old movies. His favorite ones was Sweet Home Alabama, La Bamba, Dirty Dancing. He loved all those. I don't know why, he just loved them. He was my best friend. He was my backbone, for sure. After the funeral, like, because we had an actual service, I feel relief that he's home, that I brought him home, that I brought him to my parents. I'm thankful for Dr. Spradley and her team. I've never met her, but I'm thankful for her and her students for everything they did, not just with my brother's body, but with all the John Does that they.
I think the migrants that go missing are overlooked because the migrants that are living are overlooked. The living are overlooked, so few are going to pay attention to the dead. We won't find everybody, we can't. If records had been kept, we would find everybody, but I know that's not possible, but we are going to give it our best shot to do the best we can. We came back for the 2 people that we couldn't get in January, and in addition to those 2, we found 3 more.
How are we doing on the identification process?
We have 28 identifications from Brooks County.
Excellent. Well, that's double digits, which is good.
It's good.
You know, because I've always heard 1 digit, 5 or 6. It's a 5 or 6 or 8 or 9. Now at 28. Well, I appreciate everything y'all do. I mean, it's.
We appreciate your support. We'll be back.
Okay.
For the years to come.
All right.